Wakey, 24th of, this is of course the 25th, I should say, of September 2023, and it is a Monday. Hello, good morning, and many thanks indeed for joining us here on Morning Prime. My name is Dibala now. I trust that you had a lovely restorative weekend and you're ready for the new week. Of course, we shall be following what is happening with the political landscape in our country. With the Talking Nation, we have the bipartisan talks that is being led by the NAT continuing apace this week. And of course, we'll have also the Law Society of Kenya presenting the memorandum today, and 10 other organizations as well to the National Dialogue Committee. We shall be putting tales of those stories for you today. Also, President William Ruto will today be launching the county health promoters. 100,000 of them will be, of course, launched at Uhuru Park today. And this is all in a bid to check into place the universal healthcare. And so we shall also be putting our tails on that story as well. A lot of we have to talk about, and the latest being that particular legislation that is being steamrolled, or a narrative, I should say, so far by the senator, that is Senator Cherugei of Nandi, who is hinting at an extension of the presidential term limit by 2 years for President Ruto to actually be in power for 7 good years. This is not the first time we've heard about the presidential term limit in this country, and we shall be looking at that. Where is it coming from? According to other political operators, this is what is actually under wraps as far as Kenya Kwanza is concerned. This is what they're mulling over, and maybe right now they're putting it out to test the waters as far as this extension of his term is concerned. And the question will be again, is it just to test also the popularity of President William Ruto in light of the cost of living, if he's still a favorite of many Kenyans, as it were? We shall be looking at that with our panelists this morning. I'm joined by Dr. James Chikalo, who is a member of parliament from Seme. Also, I'll be joined by Dr. Makali Mulu, who is a member of parliament from Kitui Central, and we'll be joined as well by Wilson Sossion, who is a politician. The senators are away in Turkana, where they shall be having their first, of course, sittings in the counties, as you say. This is after the COVID-19 pandemic also stalled that particular process, and right now all of them are in Turkana, so they will not be in town. I doubt if tomorrow we'll be hosting also some of the senators as well. Senator Hilary Segei, who's normally here on Monday, is away as well. All right, let's see what is fresh off the press this morning, beginning with the bold paper. And it's all about that story that I'm saying that is very contentious right now, Ruto term limit. Jitters of a push for extra years is what is a splash this morning on the front page of the Standard today. Nandi Senator Samson Cherugei has submitted a memorandum to the bipartisan talks team to increase presidential term limit to 7 years, but lawyers and politicians are having none of that, asking the team to ignore the request, but others see hidden hand in the drive. And this is what he had to say. This enables the president to have good opportunity to form and establish a formidable team to deliver his manifesto. Besides, the presidential election is always highly profiled as a result of it being conducted within a short period of time. And you have the story well tucked away on page 4 of the Standard this morning. Ruto term limit, jitters over push for extra years, 2 years on top of 5 is what the memorandum is talking about. And as I've mentioned, the resumption of it is today, and this will be one of the memorandum that will be presented to the bipartisan talks. Will it fly? We're here to see. On the sidebar, Elliot the Fifth is on a winning trot so far to speak. Or we can see he actually won by 31 seconds, the 5th fastest time of his illustrious career. That story continues inside the Standard this morning. Of course, we shall give you all the gritty details in our news bulletin as well, to just congratulate Eliud Kipchoge, making us proud. Inside, also you have Gachagua meeting to trim Kuria to size. Inside, you have Gachagua meeting to trim Kuria to size, and that particular banning of words has been going on between him, that is a deputy president, and the Minister of Trade and Investment, Moses Kuria, and you can read all about it on page 8 of The Standard this morning. Remember, every Monday you have Health and Science magazine coming your way. What it's like aging with HIV. You can read all about it inside the Health and Science Bullet magazine. It has been, of course, a milestone for the country and the entire world in fighting and combating HIV. Right now, it is not as severe as it used to be because of breakthroughs that we've had also with medication. And you can read all about it inside the Standard this morning. Fees windfall for private universities is a splash on the front page of the Daily Nation. Education. Some students who had been placed in courses in public universities have not reported. And this is a boon for the private universities. Private universities have reported a high demand for admissions as students shun public ones following the adoption of the new funding model that many perceive as expensive, especially because of a loan component. And the development is a huge relief for the private institutions that have experienced low intakes since 2016. And you have the story on page 7 of the Daily Nation. King Kipchoge does it again. Eliud Kipchoge crosses the finish line to secure his 5th victory in the men's race at yesterday's Berlin Marathon in Germany. His compatriot Vincent Kipkemboi was second. In the women's race, Ethiopia's Tigist Assefa wrote the record books, shaving 2 minutes off the previous world record set by Kenya's Bridget Kosgei in 2019. And Kenya's Sheila Chepkirui was a distant second in the race. All that is tucked away inside today's Daily Nation. On the sidebar, there's an interview there with Haminwa, and he's talking about his 53 years in legal practice and why he doesn't own a smartphone. You can follow the story on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. Privatization, why state is leasing out some Mombasa and Lamu port assets. Lack of adequate funds has forced the government to backtrack on its earlier opposition to the privatization of key infrastructure at the ports of Mombasa and Lamu. And this story continues on page 10 of the Daily Nation. Proposal to amend presidential term limit sparks outrage. A proposal by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei to amend presidential term limit has drawn sharp reactions, with critics saying it could be a ploy to introduce presidents for lives in the near future. And you have the story on page 6 of the Daily Nation. El Nino. Kenyans remember 1997 as they prepare for deluge, one of the unhappy pages in the country's history books. Is the impact of a 10-month rainy season that hit Kenyans in 1997. When the rains began in May that year, some people imagined they would subside in a matter of days or weeks, but they lasted until February 1998. The country's meteorological department had announced an impending El Nino, which will result in above average rainfall in the country. And you have the story on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation this morning. So ill preparation is also what the state or some of the state actors are talking about. How prepared are we? Questions really abound regarding how or the preparedness of El Nino as a country. That is the story that you want to follow inside the Daily Nation this morning. Let's see what we have on the front page of the Star. Chorus of outrage greets term limit talk. That is the splash today, hogging the front page of the Star this morning. Amendment, if adopted, will mean President serves for 14 years if re-elected. LSK boss theory dismissed Cherargei's proposal and instead suggested a single 7-year limit. And you have the story on page 4 and 5 of the Star this morning. And marvelous Kipchoge makes Kenyans proud again. You can see his unflappable smile there. Greatest of all, Eliud Kipchoge celebrating after winning the Berlin Marathon 2023 in Berlin, Germany yesterday. This story continues inside the Star this morning. On the sidebar, cops search Kibera for teen suspect in murder of hospital finance director. Detectives are combing through swaths of Kibera slums in the hunt for a teenager suspected to be behind the murder of Nairobi hospital finance boss Eric Maigo. The team trusts friends and relatives of the girl, believed to be between 15 and 17 years old, as they tried to piece together her background. You can follow the story on page 2 of the Star this morning. Senators also to probe cases of drug revelers in clubs, and this is being steamrolled by Esther Okenyuri, who called for probe wants lawmakers to investigate drugging of unsuspecting revelers by the would-be lovers in places of entertainment. You have the story on page 6 of the Star this morning. And here is her face, how lady with Kalonzo's hairstyle is climbing up the political ladder. You can read all about her. She's the one who's asking or wanting to probe cases of dragging revelers in clubs. Watu ambao wanaekea mchele wakijivinjari. That is the story that you want to follow inside the Star, I should say, this morning. And you can read all about it on page 2. People Daily, corruption. MPs join water wars. Is a splash here. House team summons sector leaders as wrangle rocks the Ministry of Water under CS Wahome. Committee has directed all persons mentioned in the scandal to appear before it starting Thursday this week. Will heads roll? That is the abiding question. And you have the story on page 4 of the People Daily this morning. And also on the sidebar, governors face wrath of MCS. Mwangaza targeted by Meru leaders as Nyamira ward reps differ on whether to impeach Nyaribo. That is the story to follow. Mwangaza is back again in the spotlight with MCAs, and you can read all about the story, why they are gagging for her impeachment, I should say. And also Kenya's cash pile declines over debt. That story continues on page 13 of the People Daily this morning. Kipchoge's star shines bright at Berlin race. And the story is on page 4 and 28, and also on the back page of the People Daily this morning. Nyumba ya kelele, that is Taifa Leo. Nyumba ya kelele. Hali si shwari tena katika serikali ya Kenya Kwanza inayokumbwa na migogoro kona zote na wasi wa ndani, mizozo. Rais ana kibarua kigumu cha kurejesha utulivu ndani ya chama cha UDA, muungano wake wa Kwanza na serikalini. You can follow the story on page 2 of the Taifa Leo this morning, and some of the faces or some of the spects that are going on between Cleopas Balala, Katibu UDA, also Speaker Moses Wetangula seeking to foil the party. Gachagua and also Moses Kuria have been banning words, as I've mentioned earlier as well. Gladys Bostrole, Naibu Speaker, Waziri Ababu Namwamba, and others as well. You can read all about it inside Taifa Leo today. Liverpool wapa sare kwa Arsenal. You can read all about it. Eludatia Fora Berlin mara ya tano. That is the story that you want to follow inside the Taifa Leo this morning. Also, vyoo vya umma vya susiwa. That is how Taifa Leo looks this morning. I will be showing you what we have on the front page of the Business Daily, and also other dailies and publications around us. Looking at the Daily Monitor in Uganda, also the Citizen in Tanzania, the New Times in Rwanda, the East African this week, the fourth now, we can know, and he's been very categorical. The president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, will be seeking his fourth term. Remember, he had said, or he had hinted that on resigning from politics and also taking journalism as his retiring career. What really changed? Right. That is up Taifa Leo this morning. Allow me to just hear from our guest already here in studio, Apanadi. We're joined this morning by Dr. Makali Muli, who is the Member of Parliament, Kitui Central. Also, we're joined by Wilson Susion, a politician. And also, we're joined this morning by Dr. James Jikal, who is Member of Parliament, Seme. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Coming through the dailies of course, get the updates as well. Very important so that we can actually be teasing out some of the matters that are raised in the dailies as well. But I want just to give you or extend a hearty welcome to all of you. Thank you. It's a new week. Last week of September. We haven't seen Dr. Nyikal for a while. At least we were with Dr. Makali and Wilson Susion. You were in Mombasa. What was happening in Mombasa?
We were in health committee meeting.
Health committee.
We had a bill on social health insurance.
The social health insurance fund.
Digital health bill. I think those two. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what kept us busy in Mombasa.
So what really transpired as far as those bills are concerned?
Well,
or this is a report of a committee, you don't want to speak on it right now? You can give us the highlights.
Well, the highlight is basically we are transforming the social health insurance act. And they place the things we like or things we don't like about them. So that will appear in the committee. And the digital health bill is basically forming a digital agency, getting a framework for digital health data and the use of that data, the privacy that is required, and transfer and referral of health data. It's important. I think these are important issues. That one, I think, is a new area that is interesting.
Right. You yourself, you had some scruples with the Social Health Insurance Fund, bit of it, the 3 prongs of the insurance funds. Were you able now to discuss and broach this issue?
They really don't come. In that respect, I don't like the bill much, but that's something we'll talk about. Because basically they are not really different funds, they are under the same board. They are basically, like you would say, they are all same fund doing different functions, different sources put together. Basically that's what it is. And one is the social health is contributory, and the primary health care fund, critical care and emergency and chronic illness fund, both are basically funded from the taxes. Yes, so that's what it is.
Was that discussed?
What is important is...
Was it discussed?
Yeah, they were discussed.
And what was the resolution?
There are things I don't like. We'll come to Parliament, our committee will come there. And the areas like the digital health bill, I actually generally think is something we need in the country, because there's a lot of data that is being transferred this year, a lot of health information that's being stored digitally. There are a lot of health services, health procedures that can be done using these communications, and therefore it's important to have a legal framework. That I didn't have scruples with a lot. Social health insurance, I have a lot of scruples about them. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, and the management of it, there are parts I don't like.
Okay.
Yeah.
And still on health matters, before we go to the academician as well, and the economist, at least we're all well represented. You know, the pillars, politics, But I wanted just to ask, regarding the county health promoters, where the president will be launching 100,000 county health promoters. You think this is coming late in the day, or this is a very good selective move? What discernible difference will it bring?
I have one basic problem.
Basic problem?
One basic problem with how things are done.
First of all, maybe to educate the public, what is the intent of the county health promoters?
Health promoters, this is one cadre that has actually had different names. They started as community health workers. Then they came to community health volunteers. Now the name has changed to community health promoters. And the real reason behind these changes is we have not decided as a country that these are important cadre. This is an important cadre in the health workforce, and that we should pay them. So the volunteer word wasn't preferred because, the workers word was not preferred because it implied these were workers employed, they should be paid. So we used the word volunteers to imply that they are supporting the system, but they're not workers, and therefore we can pay them stipends and not a regular salary. And that's what has been going on. And now the promoters, I don't see what change it makes. they are still the same. Now they are going to be paid. The arrangement is that the national government will pay part and the county government will pay part. But it's a really a noble idea that has been there from as far back as 2005. Actually, I was involved in the first policy document on it, and in fact in the first strategy. And basically what it is, these are members of the community that are identified by the community and get training as health workers while living in the same communities, and therefore supporting primary health care, educating people, advising on people on fast treatment that you can get, how you can prevent diseases, and therefore is going to be equipped with be given some equipment that can be used in simple treatment, like even just checking blood pressure. They can use some medicines that are easy to use, like the treatment of malaria. So they're actually the first cadre on the ground, and being members of the community, they understand, and it is done that you have a unit. I think when we started, we were talking of 100 households, 50 households. Now they've been put to 100 households for one community health worker or community health volunteer or community health promoter, depending on the time. And then they are linked to the other levels of healthcare. That's actually level 1 in the community. Then they are linked to level 2, which what used to be dispensaries, level 3, what used to be health centers, by an extension worker who is also a health worker who is supporting them. And most of them are not health professional trained as such, but community members who have been given fairly good amount of training on community health, prevention, promotion, and first line treatment. And then they get to the extension worker links them with level 2, which is the first. It's actually a good idea. It works well if it's put. What I'm not liking about it, the good idea is this thing of suddenly you are launched and you look down and you don't see an infrastructure that has been put in place for them to work. I've been in the health sector, and I know these health units, they have been formed from time to time. These health promoters, this thing that they're being employed, as far as I know, they haven't, the numbers have not worked, the numbers have been worked out, but I don't think they're in place, who is going to be where, how they are going to work, how they are going to link with the community. Were they identified the community? Because I know they should have been identified the community. Maybe members of parliament, members of county health assemblies should really have been involved in really identifying them. I don't remember seeing that serious activity that will bring them to a point that you say, if we launch them today, tomorrow they are working. That is where my doubt is. In principle, it's a good thing, but it sounds to me like we may have a problem of implementation, the way it is going. I don't know whether they have got the kits I was saying they should get. They've got the kits. The link with the extension workers has it been put in place? And if this payment they're going to do, has it been worked out so that within the first month they're actually going to be paid? Many good ideas fall through if the implementation strategy is not good.
It's not good.
Yes.
All right, let's hear from Wilson Sosion. Good morning. I think Dr. Nyikala has given us a very elaborate, extensive outlook of how things are looking out, especially on that particular front. Boon for the counties with county health promoters that will be launched today, 100,000 of them. Good morning, Sosion.
Good morning.
So on matters of, I can see also you're looking at what is on the front page of the Daily Nation, just the academic sector. There is a flash of interest to the private universities regarding the friendly environment they do have. The cost of loans from government is expensive. Now they are opting for the private universities. What really is informing this, and what is diametrically different from what the government high university fund is offering? The university fund model that has been very contentious. But good morning, good to hear from you.
Yeah, good morning. And it's exciting that we are seeing a lot of positive transformation and reforms in the education sector, realignment, cleaning up by the Kenya Kwanza administration, and the new funding model. And the new funding model, I think, has been least understood by many and is demonized by those who don't understand. And if some private universities are attracting students who would rather have reported in public universities, then that's a different, it may not be linked to the funding model. If you look at the...
It may not be linked, but...
it may not.
It is being reported it is linked.
No, that is according to the media, but I'm entitled to give...
They're saying especially because of expensive...
No, it's not expensive. The
loan component.
Yeah, if somebody opts, instead of getting a loan component and join a private university, would rather, and if they are capable of paying and they join private universities, so be it. That is why private universities exist for that purpose. And that is good. If we have significant number of students choosing to take up courses in private universities, then that leaves the public universities for those who can be paid for by government. And that is what the model speaks to. If you look at the category of the most vulnerable and vulnerable students, then it means students from poor households joining universities will receive full funding. And of course, if you track the admission and activities in the universities at the moment, that is exactly what has happened. So matters to do with village fundraisings for students from poor households to join universities, that is a thing of the past. It has been eliminated by the model. The model directs full funding at 100%, both combination of scholarship and loan, to the poorest of students who are admitted to universities. And Dibal was privileged to attend National General Meeting of Nandi South on Friday. And the major discussion among teachers still the implementation of the various new programs by the Kenya Kwanza administration, particularly the Presidential Working Party report. And indeed, there is need to ensure that this is fully implemented rather than subjecting it to another round of debates. And I am happy. The reports we are getting from the Minister of Education is that there are 4 subcommittees and an implementation team that is tracking and working on the same. But what will be key is the legislative proposals to implement the various provisions of the recommendations. And if you look at the recommendations of the Presidential Working Party, the level of intensity of consultations were very deep as opposed to what happened previously, particularly with review of remodeling of the competency-based curriculum so that we can continue as a country retaining the strong knowledge-based education system that we've had while integrating the 21st century skills and competencies and value-based education. So within that model, and what is coming out from teachers is that they're appreciating now that there's been a window of dialogue and more professional, structured process of doing things. So we will think by particularly the full establishment of comprehensive schools from pre-primary 1 to grade 1, and we have schools of high quality.
All right.
When the households will be accessing education of good quality closer to the household. So all these are massive reforms that we think will give quick results in the country.
Because they don't think they'll really get the bang for the buck. when it comes to quality that you're talking about. That's why they're opting to go for the private universities, where they think actually that money that is being paid to the public universities can warrant good quality from the private universities. Let's hear from Dr. Makalimon.
Yeah, thank you, Liba. It's good to be here with my colleagues, and more so that Dr. Nikal is missed in action this side. And it's good we hear about the health bill. You know, if Kenya wants to go far, matters health, Kenya Kwanza should listen to people like Dr. Nikal, who bring to the table experience, because he has been all the way up to the top in that ministry, brings onto the table the political angle to it, and brings to the table what Kenyans are saying out there because he represents them. They will learn a lot from that. But let me talk about the week. The week was, I was also actually in Mombasa.
You're in Mombasa?
Yeah, I was in Mombasa. And that's what I want to say.
With your committee?
Yeah. The week was a back of, you know, downs, ups and downs. There were positives and negatives. And I want to start with the positive because that's what makes us move to the next level. Eliud Kipchoge, congratulations. I think this gentleman is just telling us as Kenyans that everything is possible. It is achievable, so long as you focus your mind to it. You know, at this age, and what he's achieving, if it was me and you, more likely would have given, he's not become the greatest authority in this world, just because of determination. To me, that was the highlight of the week. I was so happy last night when I was watching him as he crosses that finish line. But now, early in the week, you know, the control of a budget, and that's why I was in Mombasa. We are receiving the report of the control of budget, the first annual expenditure report of the Kenya Kwanza government.
Which is just pure gloom and doom.
And you could see what we have been saying here every day was not being confirmed and being put on paper. That this government is never serious about expenditure. For the first time, they have been telling us public debt stands at 9.6. It was confirmed it's already over 10 trillion. So we haven't gone about the threshold as approved by Parliament.
That was not really taking cognizance of the debt issue.
Yeah, of the debt issue.
But now it was actually an input in the control of budgets.
Now we are now operating outside the law. And I think we need a serious explanation from Treasury as to why we are operating outside the law.
So we've crossed the red line.
Already we are there with more than 250 billion. Because it is 10.25. These are now figures given by control budget.
10.25.
It's at 30th June. Now, what has happened in between here, nobody knows. The other thing is, what was very surprising, we are in September, and these guys have already listed over 18 projects they have already approved to be funded through 222, when we have not even implemented the budget. So, 223, you remember the issue of the 223 we always talk about here. Another very interesting, and then the worst confirmation is where we see a government led by the presidency in terms of using money, Kenyan money, you know, the current expenditure which is not being controlled. Can you imagine that one office spending 20 billion recurrent travel and
20 billion shillings of executive.
Of executive.
Yes.
That is only the president, not even the deputy president. That is the president.
That's
alone.
the presidency. Well, they're going. The narrative is that, of course, these travelings.
That's okay. The travelings have also, but we are saying we are saying basically where we are as a Kenyan economy, this level of expenditure cannot be sustained. That's what we are saying. Then the worst of it, and I like actually the title of. I wish you could be debating Kiswahili. Nyumba ya kelele. Did you see that?
Yeah, there you are.
Nyumba ya kelele, Diba. A government which is talking from different, scripts. A minister and a PS, they are all talking different parallel, and now you wonder, in such a ministry, what can you achieve? Nikalo was a PS at one. He can tell you, where a PS and a minister do not talk the same language, that ministry is done. Look at our brothers from the Mulembe nation. Some are talking about unity. Another one comes and says, if you can talk about unity, the only way you can talk about unity is by dissolving your parties and joining
UDA.
You see, UDA.
Yes.
So we are just in a situation where, from where I sit, I see a Kenya Kwanza government which needs to be taken to tutorial. We need to be tutored in terms of governance, so that they can, because this economy is too big to be left to hands which don't. I think we need to see a change. Yeah, my friend, pass this message.
But CS is waiting. By the way, today is a day, huh?
Yes.
When we shall know the determination of the CS's position? 25th?
Yeah, the matter of the CS.
Today.
The matter
Today
of the
is the day.
CS, I don't think it's today.
But
it was meant to be 25th.
Definitely.
Or it is going to be this week?
That's a matter of the judiciary. I know it's not today, but it will come, it will pass, it will be dealt with. Legal and constitutional.
So about what I'm saying, because it's still my time. I'm just telling my friend Sosion here that he needs to pass this. I know he's still in office. He needs to pass that information. That Kenyans out there are
still in office?
This one.
Yeah.
He's not turning a salary, but he's in office. He's very instrumental. He talks.
Which office?
He can talk to the big authorities even from here.
I'm not in a physical office. I think
He's doing virtual.
Yeah, he's doing virtual.
I am not in a physical office.
He's my friend.
But I'm in government of Kenya.
But he can communicate.
I took oath of office. Yes, I took.
He can communicate from here.
And since I took oath of office, I'm in government.
He's in government.
Technically speaking, yes. But not necessarily physical.
In a physical office.
An office.
But if you took an oath of office, is for the office itself.
No,
so
Kenya Kwanza did not reduce itself when it won election.
Well, I don't finish my time. Now the other one, the bar, which is very, very worrying.
Yeah.
Then here comes another one who wants to extend the presidential term to 7 years.
We'll come to that.
Instead of reducing it to 2 so that they get out of office and they can allow other people to leave. This team. Anyway, it is a good morning. We are here. I like that your team today, we have health expert, education expert, and then you can discuss matters.
We can discuss matters.
So today,
we are well covered.
Today you can now talk serious things about those areas.
Those are critical areas.
Yeah,
but allow me just to congratulate, of course, Kipchoge Keino. And they're saying that despite falling short of breaking his own world record, Kenya's Eliud Kipchoge emerged the winner of the 49th edition of the Berlin Marathon, clocking 2 hours, 2 minutes and 42 seconds. The 38-year-old dug into his energy reserve to claim his 5th success victory in Berlin. David Vincent Kipkemoi finished second as Ethiopia's Tadasi Takele completed the podium. In the women's race, Tigist Asefa shattered the women's marathon world record, clocking 2 hours, 11 minutes and 53 seconds.
But Eliud Kipchoge now is on his way to victory number 5 here in Berlin. Another masterful performance on the streets of the German capital. And now he can enjoy his moment. The pressure is off. Kipkemboy in the red is behind him. What a race he's had. He will bring him home in a few minutes, but he's almost there. The finish line is there. The last few meters for Eliud Kipchoge. A different race here in Berlin for the first time. But it's victory number 5 for Eliud Kipchoge. 2:02.40 the winning time. The world record not bothered today, but he won't mind. He moves ahead of Haile Gebrselassie.
Right, Eliud Kipchoge, congratulations to you. All right, so let's continue pace and looking at the politics of the day as well, if you may continue, where Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi and Speaker of the National Assembly Moses Wetangula have told off leaders from Western Kenya whom they accuse of fanning political divisions. Speaking in Shinyalu, Kakamega County during an interdenominational prayer service, Mudavadi claimed some leaders are keen on crippling political parties from the region, a contradiction of calls for the region's unity. This, as UDA Secretary General Cleopas Malala, while in Mount Elgon, I should say, told off Mudavadi and Wetangula, sustaining his gospel of all leaders to join the ruling UDA party. As Alan Ochanded reports, Kenya Kwanza leaders have pleaded with the Kenyans to be patient as government stabilizes the economy.
Shinyalu in Kakamega County played host to a host of leaders from across the political divide who attended an interdenominational prayer service. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi hitting out at leaders from Western Kenya, who he claims are fanning divisions in the region, as Speaker of the National Assembly Moses Wetangula called for unity of the region. Their sentiments seemingly referring to UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala, who in a quick rejoinder while in Mount Elgon, told of the two leaders saying the Western region needs political direction.
And I and my brother Moses Masika Wetangula, we have made it very clear that anybody who is moving around peddling falsehoods, peddling fitina, close that shop. Funga hiyo biashara kwa sababu haitanunulika.
Our unity must matter. Tuende direction moja. Wale ambao mna biashara ya unafiki ya kusema ya kwamba ukitaka uwe mzuri lazima Musalia na Weta wasitembee pamoja, hiyo ni kazi bure, because we are together.
We are tired with these unity rhetorics. Hamwezi kuwa mnaongea mambo ya unity before elections. Mnapigiwa kura, mnamaliza mnaongea unity. Tena kura inakuja mnaongea unity. Saa hii watu hawakuli unity. Tunataka vijana wetu wa mkoa wa Magharibi waingie kwa jeshi, waingie kwa polisi, wamama wapewe mikopo, barabara zetu ziundwe. That is the discussion we want to put across.
Malala has been championing for the winding up of Mudavadi's ANC and Wetangula's Ford Kenya, and instead join UDA, which has not sat well with the two leaders. He insists if the duo means their call for unity, they have to join the Yellow Party.
Tuingie kwa chama kimoja, chama cha Rais William Samoei Ruto. Sababu haizi kuwa kwamba mchana mnasema mnaunga mkono Rais William Ruto na mkirudi nyumbani mnapiga chama chake vita. That is hypocrisy.
Last week, Kenyans expressed their anger after fuel prices were hiked. Kenya Kwanza leaders have, however, pleaded with them to exercise patience as it is a global crisis, exuding confidence the government will have the country back on track.
Sometimes kama utembei unaweza fikiria your problems are just your problems in your village. His problems are worldwide. Kwa wale ambao wanatembea. Ukienda London, mafuta ni almost 400 per liter.
Kila Mkenya ni shahuda. Mkenya wote ni shahuda katika serikali ya William Samoei Ruto. Na tunataka tukisonga mbele, tusonge pamoja.
We are going to support the government of Daktari William Samoei Ruto. Kwa sababu mambo ya bottom up economic transformation agenda inatilia mkazo mambo ya ugatuzi.
The ODM party has cracked the whip on its members it considers errand and in a clandestine political pact with the Kenya Kwanza administration. A section who tagged along with the Kenya Kwanza leaders remaining defiant and that they will not look back.
Sisi wachache waliopigwa kiboko kule ODM hatuogopi kwa sababu historia inaonyesha ya kwamba ukipigwa kiboko ODM your star rises. Mimi naona kila chama iko hapa, si ndio? Ingekuwa huko kwetu sasa ningekuwa nimekula kiboko.
Alan Ochanda, KTN News.
Now, the joint bipartisan talks between Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition will this week enter a crucial stage as the team rushes against time to hear public memorandum to be presented by at least 10 groups. The Council of Governors, the Law Society of Kenya, and the Inter-Religious Council will today appear at the Bomas of Kenya to present their views. As KTN's political affairs reporter Emmanuel To tells us, the former IBC commissioners, dubbed the Chera Four, have also been slated for an appearance this week.
The presentation of public memoranda to the Joint Talks Committee will Monday enter its second day as different groups continue to flock to the Bomas of Kenya to give their views on the issues of dialogue that have been tabled in the committee. After a heated session Friday that saw the IBC Secretariat propose the presidential election held separately from the other 5 seats and Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei's recommendation for the extension of presidential term limits to a 7-year renewable term, the Public Service Commission, the Federation of Kenyan Employers, the Political Parties Liaison Committee, and the Council of Governors will Monday appear before the Dialogue Committee to give their views. COG will be shedding light on the proposal by a section of MPs from marginalized communities to create 10 additional counties. The sessions will also feature the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, the National Council of Persons with Disability, National Youth Council, the Interreligious Council of Kenya, the Law Society of Kenya, and FIDA Kenya.
After hearing from the stakeholders, so that we benefit from the views and thought processes of other Kenyans, we shall then sit and now begin that difficult work of being able to bring all those views, those from our side and those from our colleagues' side, and benefiting from the knowledge of other Kenyans, putting them together.
Former IBC commissioners who opposed the 2022 presidential results outcome, including Juliana Cherera, Francis Wanderi, Irene Masit, and Justus Nyang'aya, have also been invited to give their views on Thursday this week. The four have maintained a low profile since the acrimonious general polls, with reports some may have relocated abroad. The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition and the Kenya Kwanza Alliance will be closing the 6-day marathon presentations before the talks team retreats to assemble their views and finalize their report before the 60-day deadline to conclude talks. The committee will this week clock the first month in office. This comes as a section of Kenya Kwanza legislators poked holes into the talks.
Hata hii bipartisan sijui ya kupeleka wapi, tunasema ipotee. Na kama kuna chai wanakunywa wa serikali, mtu kama anataka chai kwa hiyo maneno, kwa sababu it is not recognized anywhere, even in our budget, mtu anabeba chai yake kutoka nyumbani.
Nataka niombe Bwana Ichung'wa ambaye ni majority leader kule bungeni, kesho wakienda kuketi chini kwa maneno ya bipartisan talks, agenda number 1 ni kumaliza mkutano, watu waende nyumbani, tufanye maendeleo Kenya. Ama namna gani?
Emmanuel To, KTN News, Nairobi.
And preparations for the Senate sittings in Turkana County are in the final stages as the House plans to change from its normal sittings held at Parliament buildings in Nairobi. As of Sunday evening, a number of the county MPs had arrived in Turkana, even as security has been heightened in the county ahead of the Senate Mashinani sittings. And Winfrey Owino has more on this.
For the better part of the weekend, preparations for the Senate to hold its sittings away from the capital city were ongoing. This was after a motion by Senate Majority Leader Aaron Cheruiyot was passed, paving the way for Turkana County to be the host of this year's Senate sittings away from Nairobi. The sittings will be held here for 4 days, and therefore the host county has been a beehive of activities. The leadership of Turkana County has welcomed the move by the bicameral parliament, saying it is a good opportunity for the region to air its grievances to the national government as well as find a lasting solution.
Tumefanya pia kilimo katika sehemu ya Morulem na irrigation scheme drip ambayo iko hapo ni ile nzuri, itakuwa vizuri watembelee.
County Security Committee will explain the status of security in this county, touching from one point to the other.
But what are the residents saying?
Wakuja waone mazuri na mabaya kuhusu Turkana. Na wakuja waongelee mazuri yenye waliongea ile siku kwa bunge. Na wakuja wa make hiyo development hapa Turkana.
Na wakaribisha hawa wageni kwa sababu mimi najua ma senators wanakaanga Nairobi huko, wajui load ni wapi. Hata mimi najua wengine wanasikianga load kwa news ama wanaonanga kwa TV ama wanaonanga kwa gazeti.
Makazi iko mashamba hapa lakini hakuna mtu analima. Hakuna kitu, hakuna hata ile seeds ilikuwa tumeletwa kutoka serikali alikuwa anagawa kila makaunti. Hakuna yenye umegawia hapa kaunti ya Turkana.
Wakuja watembelee ward 30, waangalie vile jinsi watu wanaumia, waangalie vile jinsi maisha ya watu iko. Asante sana, natamani sana senator wa Nairobi mwenye amekaa kwa maji kwa mvua akuja hapa asikie vile jinsi jua inachoma watu.
This goes in history as the third sitting of the Senate held outside the Parliament chambers. In 2018 and 2019, the Senate held some of its sittings in Uasin Gishu and Kitui counties, respectively. The program is called Senate Mashinani, and according to Speaker Amason Kingi, the sittings are meant to link the national and county governments by enhancing interactions between the Senate and county governments. Winfrey Owino, KTN News.
Yes, of course, we shall be tailing that story there in from Turkana, and looking also as well at the editorial cartoons here in today's dailies. We can see the elevator picture that is meant to be also what he has been doing for us. That is the ambassador of America here in Kenya, pitching for the country, making a good, of course, name for us as well, or putting out good name for us out there. Will her bosses, it says here, well, her 30 seconds are almost up. That is what Gado has done today. I'll leave it for you to decipher this, and especially when we have had our president in the US as well. And we can see also what we have in the Star. We have there Deputy Speaker, where we can see some of the government officials are being given pacifiers. We can see AG Muturi as well. He's been given his pacifier. Now also the Deputy President is passing over now another pacifier to Moses Kuria. With Alice Wahome as well, she's appearing before the legislators as well on questions on the water sector and the corruption therein right now. We've seen some officers being shown the door as it speaks, right? As we speak, so to say. And the pacifier now should be handed over to Moses Kuria by the Deputy President. Recently, the spat has been ongoing between him and the Deputy President, that is Moses Kuria. Cost of living. Kenyans, this is how now you are being rinsed, so to speak, right? For how long am I supposed to be in this situation? Mekamuliwa kweli kweli. All right? I don't know what Sosio will have to say about this particular kukamuliwa. Say something. Cost of living.
Yeah, the cost of living is true, it's very high, and it did not start yesterday. The tail end of handshake regime, which changed to the Azimio, it was already too high, way out of the roof, and to reconfigure the economy to come back to normal will take time, up to 3 years. So we'll still have to suffer for a while. But the measures that are in place definitely is going to reverse this trend forever. Kenyans should be very, very patient. This is not a quick fix. It's not a switch on, switch off affair. The complicated nature of the economy, with huge borrowing, the revenue collection that is collected over 84%.
But you've had the reality that even with the huge borrowing, that
the payment of debts, and therefore the measures that have been put in place are working. It's not going to be a walk in the park. Everyone will have to suffer, but for a while. And it's painful. It's like surgery. Surgery is not a sweet thing, but after surgery, there is always life. but when
you make sure there is anesthesia that at least can pacify your pain for a while,
once the anesthesia is out of the body, the pain will still be there. But you see, what is important is that we've gone through surgery and there will be life. So these, I can assure Kenyans, in 3 years, the measures that are in place in dealing with both the economy internally, in 2-3 years, the economy will be robust, up and working, and all shall be well. This is the only route, the painful route, based on the circumstances that we found. There is no magic that is going to be performed except to go through the painful route. The most important thing is that Kenyans must be very hopeful, and we give them a lot of hope, and all shall be well. Right. The economy will work. And already indicators.
At least Dr. Nikali is a pediatrician here. So
yes. Let me take it from there.
We are going through the
ordinarily
back pangs here.
Ordinarily, surgery is painful, and we know that. But we take measures that because this process you need to recover is painful, we reduce the pain. So immediately during the surgery, you get anesthesia. Soon after the surgery, there's a good regime of analgesics, things that reduce the pain until you recover. You cannot let people suffer pain because at the end they will come. Let me tell you, Even he opted to use this. If you actually do not manage pain when you are dealing with a critically ill patient, the pain itself can kill. Actually, the blood pressure goes up, the heart rate goes up. So that analogy is wrong.
So we need analgesics.
But let me say, the whole problem, actually I see two major problems with our friends in government.
We'll come to discuss this. This is just on a lighter note before we take a break.
I'm taking everything.
We'll come to it.
Yeah.
We have that editorial cartoon as well, right? Not dead. And we can see the bipartisan talks right now. A hand that is jutting out from the coffin. This has the sparse which has been going on. Not dead. Where are we with the bipartisan talks? We can see the resumption of it. This is what Victor had drawn earlier as well. And the president and the foreign policy. What is happening as far as the UNGA trip was concerned? Did the president meet with President Zelensky? Is the foreign policy leaning towards support of Ukraine? All right, we'll leave it for you now to decipher that as well. That is the latest as far as the foreign trip is concerned. And also we have a China Daily. President calls for using sports to promote peace. And we shall be looking at these issues of the editorial cartoons, some of the things that have been actually put out here, especially with some of the sentiments that were given out there regarding Kenya. Also, with the police force in Haiti, right now we understand 14.5 billion shillings has been also dished out by the US government to support that particular initiative. We take a short break right now, 7 o'clock, 2 minutes to actually time. And then, of course, we shall resume with our discussion here, looking at the granular issues that are affecting the country as far as politics is concerned. Don't go away, you're watching Standpoint here on Morning Prime.